Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to show with you guys. This is the Miguron Norsa. I have reviewed a lot of knives. A lot. Thousands of knives ranging anywhere from, right about the mid-20s up to multiple thousands of dollars, right? I have never reviewed a knife under $30 that is as recommendable as this. My go-to for, when people say I'm on like a really tight budget, what should I be looking at? I always go QSP Parrot, QSP Penguin. And I still tell people that. I still do, because those are amazing products. Miguron here lately has released multiple models under $30. And the Norsa here, so far, I think we're about to see a flood of additional stuff from Miguron and probably a number of other companies trying to compete in this territory. This is not easy to do because especially what Miguron is doing here is delivering exceptionally high quality under $30, which is really unheard of, especially in 2025. So let me start this review off by saying this is a very, very good knife. This is very recommendable, and it is amazing to me that Miguron is, it's not amazing that they're capable of it. It's amazing to me that they are willing to price this here. Because most of their competition would price this, I would say, at least $10 higher. Thanks so much to Miguron for sending this knife in. I will link it down in the description. It's absolutely available. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Even if you're sure that they are, you better check, because YouTube likes to turn them off sometimes because they're jerks. I don't want to miss my weekend giveaways, especially. Overall length of the Norsa is coming in at about 7 1/8. So we have about what I would classify this as a medium folding knife, medium-sized folding knife. 3 1/8 for blade length, and about 2 3/4 for cutting edge. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. Up against the AD-10 and my own Excalibur. These are larger knives at about 8.5 inches. So while they are dwarfing the Norsa is still not what I'd call a small knife. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. This is much closer in size to the Para 3, and in some ways it has similar ergonomic lines. We have nearly identical cutting edge lengths. You don't have quite the same comfort zone in the choke up position, but your ergonomic areas back here are very, very similar. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How is the action on this knife? This is a crossbar lock, which is not a new locking system. A lot of people will say that it's boring. Obviously, the point to highlight here about this knife is not the locking system. In fact, when we are looking at this price point in particular, there are a lot of things that I would typically criticize about more expensive knives that I simply will not criticize here, and I think that's fair. It's simply amazing to me that anybody can deliver any amount of quality under $30 with the amount of hot trash that we see, especially the stuff that TikTok pushes. My God, an abomination, that wasteland over there. Oh my God. So yeah, I don't really care that the locking system is like old news or boring. That's fine. I think they are perfectly welcome to do that here. This is a crossbar lock with, I would say, medium high tension omega springs, definitely a little bit stronger than what we typically see from Benchmade. So yeah, and the action here is good. I mean, it wants to fall down into the closed position. This has gotten a little bit better, actually, since I got it. The thumb studs are super duper comfortable. They have them essentially domed off at the top, which is something I always point out to companies, like, don't put little tips and don't make it a 90-degree ledge. Both of those things are uncomfortable. Like, just give us a subtle rounded dome at the top. It's very comfortable to deploy and very reliable to deploy. You can also just wheel it out if you want to. Very easy to manipulate, and this knife does run on bearings here. Just looking at the lights to make sure. But yeah, it feels like bearings, and it definitely is bearings. I've just assumed this whole time because I've handled so many knives that run on bearings. But yeah, it's typical. It's exactly what you'd expect of this type of locking system from a company like Miguron, who does a really good job. Carry profile, thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. So this is about the same, maybe a hair thinner. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This should be no surprise that this is a super compact and easy object to carry, even more so than the Para 3. Let's weigh it. What are the materials? When I unboxed this, I was, I'd looked up the price before because I saw the name on the outside of the box, and I looked it up, and I was like, is this going to be one of Miguron's ultra budget knives? Which, by the way, you can define however you want. On this channel, a budget knife is anything under $75. No, I will not change that, up or down. I won't. And then also on this channel, anything under $30 is referred to as ultra budget. My view on that is skewed, and it's also out of touch. Metal Complex. You can think that if you want. This is what I think. That's where I'm going to stick. I'm not going to change it. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. I looked on the box and I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, it's one of those ultra budget knives. The one that I found was G10 and D2, which you can also buy for the same price. When I opened this, I realized, oh, this is PVD and aluminum. That's going to be more expensive. Like, they're not going to charge the same price for that. It's like nice anodized aluminum and PVD. This is a model they already had. And then they made like a super inexpensive one. I was thinking, okay, that makes sense. That's what they're going to do with a bunch of their models. They're going to like change the materials a little bit and then get them. That's how they're going to get them down under $30. Nope. You can still get the aluminum and D2 version with the PVD coating for $29. That's crazy. $29.73 or whatever. That's crazy. So you can get the G10 one if you want. It'll be a little bit lighter weight, or you can get this version. That's amazing. So we have PVD, D2, and aluminum. D2's not special. I don't expect it to be. As if this is the argument. This is me like pretending that somebody's making this argument. But D2's not special. It's under $30. 3.3 ounces still with the aluminum. I have no complaints there. Balance is right in the middle of the index finger position, like the primary index finger position. Really good. Let's do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. Miguron typically likes to keep everything T8, and I think that's great, and I'm aware that it rhymes. T8 for the body screws at least, not for the thumb studs or the soft camera, not for the axis studs or the thumb studs or the pocket clip screws. Those are T8, but we don't necessarily need to remove those. For your screws that keep everything together, it's T8. Even for the filler pocket clip screws, which is awesome. So you can flip those over there. I wish that they would make everything T8, but it's not that big of a deal. This is a knife that utilizes omega springs, which means if this is the first time you've ever done it, it's a little bit frustrating, but far from impossible. Just make sure you got a place to keep all your hardware, right? But yeah, minimal hardware, and I think that this is great. Accessible, very accessible for the end user to maintain, disassemble, etc. Blade stock thickness. Measure that real quick, and then we can move on because this is pretty, cut and dry, guys. Blade stock thickness is 123 thousandths, so that's good. All right, meat and potatoes. Ergonomically, pretty darn comfy. Pretty darn comfortable. I'm really happy with this. I can't complain too much, right? I think this could have been quite a bit less comfortable, and I still would have been like, wow, the QSP Penguin's great, and so is the other one, the Parrot. Keep wanting to say the Puffin. That's a different knife yet. That's like a big one, isn't it? And anyways, they're fine. I think that this is more comfortable, right? I wouldn't call the Parrot or the Penguin the most comfortable knives in the world, but it doesn't matter because they're so cheap. The Penguin's 32 and the Parrot's 28 or 29. D2 and micarta or G10 or whatever they're using. This is PVD coated. It's nice anodized aluminum if you choose that. Really, just like the quality on this is just oozing. Got a nice cutting geometry. We got a nice factory edge. I'll let you guys take a look at the plunge grind, which I think has a pretty good amount of life in it, right? It does thicken up slightly, right? But not too bad. Got a nice tip. Straightforward. There's not really a lot to talk about here. The blade's going to do exactly what you want it to do. Let's talk about the HRC range, which I'm almost certain that someone has brought up. Am I going to judge the HRC range as hard at this price point? No, I'm not. And, you know, I agree that it should be higher, right? But I think there's been plenty of tests on QSP's D2 on their, you know, the Parrot and Penguin. I think it's also fairly low. I think that's typically what we're going to see. Now, the vast majority, and I mean this when I say this, the vast majority of folding cutlery under $30, the people who make that stuff probably don't even know what heat treating is. I'm sure, honestly, like a lot, like let's say you're buying a $25 knife from Tac Force. I bet the HRC range for the typical Tac Force knife is in the low 50s. I bet it's about as hard as a gum wrapper. There's no way, right? So the range that they list for this on the Miguron website is 58 to 60. And almost certainly your coated blades are going to be towards the lower end and your uncoated blades are going to be towards the higher end. Is this optimal for D2? No. I think D2, which has a similar optimal range to M390, should be heat treated from 60 to 62. Should they be able to do this at this price point? I think so. And Miguron, if you're looking to take it to the next level, do I think it's acceptable? Am I going to, like, you know, pee my pants over 58 to 60 D2 at, you know, at $29? Is that, does that make D2 just garbage and it doesn't work at all? No, it's okay. Like, it's fine. I mean, it's suboptimal. It's fine. At this price point, it's fine. Miguron, could you go above and beyond? Could you really, like, be crowned the true king of this territory by pushing your HRC range on D2 from 58 to 60 to 60 to 62? Yeah, you could. And I think you guys are capable of doing it. I'm whispering like it's just between me and you, but realistically it's between me and you and probably like tens of thousands of people. Yeah, I think you guys should push it up there. It's fine the way that it is. It's not, that shouldn't be a deal breaker at this price point because you know what? At $29, you're not going to find hardly anything that's optimally heat treated. This is, I think, going to become a bigger battle zone for a lot of companies. I mean, the end of this is it's just what you think. Comfortable knife, easy to manipulate. You have no lanyard area unless you want to stuff one in one of these holes. Ambidextrous pocket clip, that's great. Ambidextrous mounting position. Stop pin in its usual place. No blade play up, down, left to right. No lock stick, no pivot lash. Smooth enough. And nice, I mean, what's creating the detent, like, is the crossbar, so that's great. And then are we centered? Yeah, we are. This is a freaking amazing knife. This is amazing. $29.75 in 2025. Are you kidding me? If this knife came out in 2015, if this knife came out 10 years ago for $29.75, the entirety of the knife world we would have collectively pooped our pants together in unison, all high-fiving at the same time. One big community pants pooping over this thing. That's what would have happened. We are spoiled. We're spoiled. It's crazy that a company like Miguron can pump this out. It's amazing. Absolutely incredible. I can't get hung up on, you know, the suboptimal heat treat. I can't get hung up on that. I can't get hung up on the fact that it is D2. I don't mind at all. You know what? If this freaking thing, if they push this from 58 to 60 to 60 to 62, you understand? Because it is D2, people always forget the D2 has amazing edge retention versus the steels that we expect to see in this territory, right? We all hail 14C28N not because of edge retention. A lot of people don't know this. They have no idea. We hail it because Laren Thomas explained to us that it was his opinion, and I think he's right, that the balance overall, considering what people typically use their knives for at this price point, The balance, which emphasizes toughness, is probably the best overall for the end user. It has the best ratios of toughness to edge retention balanced in with corrosion resistance. I think he's got a great argument. For those of you who want the best possible edge retention for the lowest amount of money, you've got to put your money with D2, and it needs to be have a better heat treat. 60 to 62 D2 will cut the pants off of anything else in the sub $30 knife market, probably the sub $50 knife. I mean, honestly, it's just not summer stomach's growling. I'm hungry. This is amazing. This is a really good knife. This is gonna go in my recommended knives playlist. Like seriously, if you have, especially if you have a friend who's just carrying around that weird, like everybody's got that guy who's like he's still carrying around the knife with the dragon on it, and it's like got paint, right? And it's like the master's like you got that friend, and you're like you just want to experience something that's actually made by somebody who, by a company who cares about utility. Or, maybe you need a good beater knife for yourself, right? You need a junk drawer knife or whoever. This is a knife that I can quite literally recommend to everybody. Now, if you don't like knives made in China, okay, fair enough. But for everybody else, I could literally recommend this knife to anybody. Maybe if you have if you have 2XL, 3XL hands, this might not work. I want to see Miguron do this, exactly what they're doing, but I want to see them make some full-size knives too. We've got 3 models that are sub $29 that I've experienced anyway, that are kind of like medium-sized knives. Let's do a full-size knife under $30, give some people some options. Continue with the ambidextrous locking systems, and at the very least, ambidextrous mounting positions for the pocket clip. It's going to go in my most recommended knives playlist, and it's also going to go in my cheap knives I like playlist. This is amazing. Probably one of the best value knives on the knife market, period. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.